The New York Jets get devastating news before week one of the NFL season, and they lose their starting right guard, Elijah Vera-Tucker, for potentially this season in a devastating blow. And we're here to talk about it on Gangs All Here. I'm Ryan Sampson. That's our Jets beat writer, Brian Costello. Kaz, immediate reaction. What did you think of the news here as the Jets lose one of their best players?
Yeah, I mean, you go a few different directions, Ryan, right? I mean, first and foremost, I feel for the player. AVT has been a really solid guy in the locker room. He's been good with the media. He's respectful. I like him. So my first thoughts went to him, and obviously it's a big year for him contract wise, and he's had these injury issues in 2022, 2023. So you feel for him first. And then second, you start thinking about what it means football wise. And obviously, we've talked a whole lot this offseason about how the Jets wanted to run the ball and the offensive line was going to be the kind of the strength of the team along with the running backs. And now this alters the plan. If he's out and it looks like he'll be out for the season, like if he's out for the season, that's tough. Like, we talked about this a lot with Aaron Rodgers in 2023. And you're okay with a backup for 3 or 4 games. That's what they're there for. They're NFL players. When it gets difficult is when you have a backup that has to play 17 games, a la Zach Wilson in 2023, right? And now you're sliding. I'm guessing that they're going to slide Joe Tippmann to right guard and start Josh Myers at center. We saw that when Simpson was hurt, John Simpson was hurt in training camp. On the other side, they moved Tippmann to guard. So I think that's what we're assuming. I think Tippmann is an okay guard. He's not AVT, but I think he'll be right there. I think Josh Myers is not as good as Joe Tippmann in center, so you're downgrading at that position. So it's tough. And then, but thirdly, the only thought around was, man, like they really made it through training camp without any serious injuries, right? Like it was one of those things you whisper about, right? Because you don't want to jinx anyone. But I thought it a few times in training camp, like there hasn't been that injury in training camp that happens sometimes, and they get here to a few days before the first game and suffer this kind of injury.
Yeah, right on all accounts, Kaz. I feel for him just like you do. Guy was voted captain this year. I think you would probably know more than better than most that he was counted on in that locker room and as a leader and a vocal leader at that point. And they were counting on him. They were counting on him to be a strong force because if you think about it, he's what, the oldest player on that offensive line, right? In that group. He's been there the longest on that offensive line. Out of,
Been there the longest. I think John Simpson's probably older than him, but
right.
yeah, he's been there the long with the Jets the longest. And like, yeah, it's an interesting time right now, Ryan, because the guys that were drafted in 21, which would be AVT, Michael Carter, Jamie Sherwood, and then you have the guys in 22 who are obviously Garrett, Jermaine, Sauce, and Brees are sort of in that weird phase of graduating from young players to they're I hate to call them veterans, but they've been here a while, and and the Jets are kind of counting on them in leadership roles. So yeah, I mean, obviously AVT getting voted captain tells you what his teammates thought of him. So really, really just tough news.
So to piggyback off of what you had said in the beginning about backups now playing in starter roles, I think we look at offensive line sometimes, we take it for granted. I think on this show we highlight it a lot because this is part of our discussion and analysis. We talk about offensive line play. But I think for the casual fan, you don't really discuss the X's and O's a ton of, this guard's really good or this tackle is really strong or this offensive line is going to be, it goes unnoticed sometimes the play of these guys and what they're able to do for the offense and help protect the quarterback or help in the run game. AVT, by all intents and purposes, is a great run blocker. Was really good, strong in the pass blocking part of his game as well. So they're losing a key cog to this. But in the long term for this Jets rushing attack and what they want to do on offense, what is that impact going to be like for losing AVT?
I think it's big because I don't think it's just losing 1/5. I think you're losing 2/5 because I think Tippmann is a downgrade from AVT at right guard. I still think Tippmann is a decent guard. I don't, but he's not AVT. And then I think Josh Myers is a major downgrade from Joe Tippmann, even though we had this competition all summer, which I didn't really understand because I thought Tippmann looked like he was clearly better. But yeah, so now I think 2/5 of your offensive line are not as good today as they were yesterday. And with the way the Jets want to play, that's even tougher than normal, right? Like I think anytime you lose offensive linemen, it's tough. And the Jets have been through this feels like year after year after year they have offensive line injury problems, and maybe it's every team and we're just focused on the Jets, but to me, this has been a recurring theme with the Jets is losing offensive linemen over the years, and now they go into the season down to two spots in my eyes.
Do you think overall the offense, we don't know because we haven't seen it yet, right? And when this is Tanner Angstrand's first year as an offensive coordinator, and this is Justin Fields' first time in this system, and they're trying to establish this whole entire new scheme, does it take us like? Do we take it a level down? Expectations even more for the run game? Like they were expected to run the hell of the football, and I'm sure they still will, but
Yeah.
the productivity might not be as good as we thought, Kaz.
I think it might take a little bit longer. They can still get there in my eyes, and this isn't a quarterback injury. Like I love offensive linemen. I love them. I was an offensive lineman when I was a fat little kid, so that's
Me too.
that's a special place in my heart for them. But it's not losing Aaron Rodgers 4 plays into the season. That's not the same thing as that. So I don't drastically view the season differently now in terms of wins and losses or anything like that. But I do think this could take a little time now to gel, and I don't think it's as easy to just go, oh, well, Joe Tippmann played left guard in training camp. Now he's going right guard. Like that's an adjustment too. It's like everything is different. Everything flips to the other side. It's going to be an adjustment for him. And I think it's becomes matchups now. They when they're facing tough defensive lines, like they are Sunday against the Steelers, it could be tougher. And then when they get a couple, weeks without really strong defensive lines, they'll probably look better. But yeah, I think it's now they're entering an adjustment period right now.
Aaron Glenn said it, I believe, yesterday. He feels for Jets fans. He knows the pain and misery that they've gone through, and he was hoping to establish in his first year of, hey, something you could be proud of as a Jets fan to watch. Jets fans get a little more pain and misery before week one, Cos. And now we just got to see how it plays out this year. Try not to get too negative, right? There's still football to be played. Like you said, there's a lot in front of them still here. And
Here's what I'll say, Ryan. Here's what
yeah,
I'll say is I was thinking this before because I always go back um, to 2019, right? And Darnold gets mono, and then Trevor Siemian breaks his leg, and you have Luke Falk starting against New England and the Eagles. And I remember talking to Gase about that then, and Gase knew they had no shot. Like there was no possible way you were being Tom Brady and the Patriots in New England with Luke Falk as your quarterback, and the Eagles were 2 years removed from a Super Bowl. They were obviously they were a good team. So but they lost those games, and Jets fans were like, "What is wrong with this team? Like, why didn't they win?" And so my point is, if they lose a couple games here, I don't think any of you guys are going to go, "Well, they don't have AVT, so what can we expect?" And the same thing happened really with Rodgers, right? It was like, well, they still need to be winning games, and so I know expectations are not going to change for this team, and everyone still expects him to win, and there's still pressure on Aaron Glenn to win games. And I think he would be the first one to acknowledge that. And he went through it in Detroit last year, tons of injuries on his
yep.
defense, and they kept going. The season doesn't stop, as Bill Parcells once said. So no one's going to feel bad for them. Um, they yes, a little more pain and misery for Jets fans, but I still think the goals remain the same.
It's well said, Kaz, and it's the first true adversity test we could say for Aaron Glenn and this
Yeah.
coaching staff. And we'll see how they adjust. Jets fans, we appreciate you as always for watching all of our content and digesting gangs all here. Kaz is going to be back tomorrow. We're going to do our week one preview with him and Frankie. We're going to preview this entire Jets Steelers matchup, how it impacts not having AVT on the field for probably the whole season. We'll discuss it more. But as always, hit that like, hit that subscribe button on the New York Post Sports YouTube channel. You can catch Kaz here as always. And Jets fans, we'll see you next time.